Okay, so you're thinking about coming out to Texas Survival School, wondering what the property looks like? Let's check it out. As we come off the main highway here, off to the right, we're going to go through this little metal gate. There's always the sign for Sugar Hill Adventures out here. These are our hosts on the property. And we normally have our school sign hung up right through here. It's going to look just like this. And from there, we're just going to continue on down this little dirt road here until we get up here to the fork. Now, after we make the turn, pretty quickly, you're going to notice the house up here. These are the owners at Sugar Hill. We are definitely not going to their house to teach class. I'm going to take this fork right off to the left over here. And we do typically have signage and stuff over here to point you on your way. Just keep in mind, this main fork up front, we're just sticking to the left. Continuing on up the road here, you guys will notice this is a crushed gravel road. So it does pretty good even in the rainy season here. I know the folks at Sugar Hill have put an immense amount of work and money into just maintaining the road out here. I definitely appreciate their efforts on that. Now, there'll be a couple of spots as we're moving up the road here where the road is going to cut off to the left. After you make that initial left at the fork, just keep in mind you're going to continue and stay to the right. So anytime we come up on these little cutouts, just stick to the right. Actually, here's one coming up right now. I actually have a little sawhorse up in front of it right this minute. Usually that's there to block the traffic, but not always. You guys will also notice there is an abundance of cedar trees down here, which is a little bit of a challenge if you're planning on hammocking. That's why tents are going to work better for you out here. Unless you're just going to cowboy camp on the ground. There are some good hammockable spots toward the back, but there are not many. I'll point out a couple of those to you. Coming up on the right over here, you'll see a little picnic area. It's set up. Have a couple of spots like that kind of here throughout the property, but not a ton of them. A couple here and there. All right, so the picnic area that we just looked at is right over in there. But just as you come up the dirt road here, you'll get to a spot where it clearly looks like it's ending. The gravel's going to end right there. Right over in here, this is going to bring us really into our parking area. The center of the property is really two main fields. So there's a tree line right over here that separates the two. We use this upper field up here for parking. And then down on this lower field is typically where we set up everyone's tents. So still up here in this upper parking lot, these little swings over here. So they've got little treasures kind of hidden in several spots out here. I'll show you guys where the restroom is. I'm just going to continue down this upper side. A little bit of a hill, so I'm saying upper. Actually, when you step back up into these cedars, there's several little cutout spots where they've got tent pads and stuff that they're setting up. They are definitely building this out to be an outdoor adventure area, which is why it's definitely complements what we do out here really well. And they're actually right up here is one of their cutouts where they're doing some glamping pads that they're working on for next fall. We're not going to be using those. That would be cheating. This is a survival class. But tucked away right over here, you can see the portalet in here. That gets serviced pretty often. That has been our bathroom away from home. And we don't use this upper area up here at all, but there's several cutouts up here for people that want to come in and do like hip camps and things like that. A couple little pavilions off to the way. We don't use this upper side at all. Pretty much all stay on the lower half. I have to chuckle a little bit. Last year, around October, they hosted a pumpkin fest, Halloween fest out here on the property and bought just hundreds and hundreds of pumpkins. Now they have a bunch of volunteer pumpkins growing in. Okay, so now we're back up to the parking area. Bathroom is up here. All this field out here is for parking. Just kind of take you down to where everyone sets up camp. Now this lower field, whereas the upper field has a little bit of a downward pitched slope to it, this lower field down here is pretty darn flat. So everyone typically migrates down this way to set up their tents. And that's a pretty long band through here. So all the way out in there in that bottom is the creek. It runs down the backside of the property over here. And then we've got this long chute through here where everyone sets up their tents and stuff. And then we've got another trail over here to the right that we use. And we're going to walk down there to the very end here in just a few minutes, because you can see all the way down at the very end down there, that is the entrance onto the Northeast Texas Trail, which is a 130 some odd mile trail that runs from Farmersville all the way up to New Boston. So it's now officially the second longest trail in the state of Texas. It was the longest until this past spring. So we're coming from a pier parking area, tents. Our classroom area is down through here. We're just going to follow the little trail around. We usually have tiki torches or signage or something up through here. I'll point you on your way. We're just going to follow the trail around. And again, you have to see it's just full of red cedars. So definitely don't plan to hammock. You're welcome to bring one if there is a slot open. You're welcome to take it. We'll point out a couple of areas where you might could do that, but definitely bring a tent, because the likelihood of you getting a hammock spot is probably slim, especially for crowded classes. We're just following the trail back, and we're going to come to a little T-junction here. We are going to stick to the left. We'll usually, again, have tiki torches and signs pointing this way. This way just loops back around to the creek. We're going to make the left over here. And then the classroom location is going to be right up here. So we do our level 1 basic survival class down here. We do our level 2 intermediate. And then we also do our wild edibles class down here. There's a ton of stuff from the edibles perspective. And then off to the left over here is our main classroom location. Typical setup you've seen at some of our other spots. Parachute for a little bit of cover over here. Torches scattered all over the place. Right here's our wood pile. We've been going through and cleaning all this out. Fire pit setup, grates, tripod. And instructors, a lot of times we'll hang back up through here. We've kind of cut out a couple of areas in these cedars to make it easier for you to find us. Nice big wide open area so that we can kind of spread everyone out and everyone can enjoy the experience. We have a couple little piles of trees and brush and stuff that we've cut out as we've kind of cleared this area out. Those will all be gone here fast enough, because we'll burn those down probably by the end of this year. All that stuff will be gone. We go through quite a bit of wood in these classes. But general classroom location, looking good so far. All right, so coming back out to the main field. So now that you've seen where we do the sit-down congregation stuff, take you down where we do some of our other activities. We're just going to mosey down this right side over here. Again, tents and stuff typically go over here. A little cutout road over here to the right. This gives us a nice little spot to come out here and spread everyone out. Let them practice setting up shelters and all of this fun stuff without being on top of everyone's actual campsites for the weekend. We have this lane that's cut out through here. It's going to run pretty much the same length as those other two fields out there. It's a nice wide open area. So continuing down this lane over here, as we get kind of down toward the far end of it, we've got two additional cutouts in here. So if we need sort of extra overflow room for teaching certain subjects, we've got a cutout up in here. We did actually do one or two classes down here this past spring before we finished cleaning up our area. This is a spot where there is a handful of hammockable spots back here if someone wanted to come back here and try to use them. Our main classroom area is out through the woods over in that direction. And there's a couple places down through here. Actually, a nice little swing set up right there. Sugar Hill podium up here. Like I said, they host community events and stuff here in the area. So this is set up perfect for what we do. Walk back out, I'll take you to the other cutout. So, almost back up here. The wheelbarrow from all the pumpkins we had out here. Which that was kind of fun. There were pumpkins everywhere. They must have ordered an 18-wheeler's worth of pumpkins. They were spread out as decorations everywhere. Now here's that third cutout. I like this one because it has a neat old truck back here, at least what's left of a truck, which honestly just has a lot of character to it. I love this little spot back here. So we usually use these for, like I said, in addition to this long cutout draw, use these for sheltering and stuff like this so everybody can kind of spread out, but we can also keep our eyes on everyone. And then we have talk classes back here as well. And here's more volunteer pumpkins trying to come up this year. I think he's going to have an entire property full of a pumpkin patch. Here's this neat old truck. I love this thing. This is awesome. So looping back out here, we'll pop out into the main field where everyone sets up camp. You'll notice there are a couple garbage cans around the property. As a general rule of thumb, though, when you come for class, assume if you're packing it in, you've got to pack it back out. So plan to carry your trash out. We can handle a bit, but we can't handle a ton. This is our main lane where everyone sets up for camping. Parking is up the hill on the other side of these cedars. Okay, so here we are on the Northeast Texas Trail, running that way, looking back down this lane in Sugar Hill. This is where I said everyone sets up their camping and stuff at. Let's venture down. And we were just down in there where the old truck is. We've got the flagpole put up out here. The scouts came out. We did the flag raising. You guys can see it's at half-mast. This is for all the flood victims down in Kerrville right now. So the picnic table's off to the right. A few hiking trails around. I think he told me he's got about 1.5 miles of trails. And you guys can see this whole chute through here is pretty darn level. Especially once we get over this little drainage right here. We usually end it with people camped out through here and then just littered down the side over here. Alright, so then continuing down through here, there's a couple of spots. So again, we're parking up in here, camping down through here. A couple of spots in this row of cedars through here that I noticed people have been using for hammocks. There's a couple, it's a little bit conducive for it. Not great though. We definitely end up with lots of folks kind of tucked up in here. Gives them a little bit of break from the wind when it's windy outside. I hope you found that beneficial. You can see you're parking really close to where you're setting up camp. And then pretty much around the property, you're within 150, 200 meters at all times to pretty much everything that you're doing. Now the website says be prepared to walk 2 miles. That's over the course of the entire weekend, not just to get to your camping spot or get to the class location. So hopefully this answers most of your questions, and we'll see you out here soon.